The 12th of May 2012, also known as the peak of Shinji Kagawa's career. At 23, he scored and assisted in the German Cup final to help Dortmund win the title that year. He had already scored 13 goals that season. However, more than 7 years later, Kagawa is sat in the second division of Spain, aged just 30. So what happened? Hi everyone, I'm Ghost Masala and welcome back to another What Happened To / Who Is. Leave a playlist in the top right hand corner. I've got a whole playlist based on what happened to certain players, such as what happened to Honda, what happened to Balotelli, etc. And yeah, so let's get straight into it. And as always in this series, I start with a player's origins. So Kagawa started off with Cerezo Osaka back in 2006. They were a second tier Japanese side at the time, also a team that Takumi Minamino, who just signed for Liverpool, used to play for when he played back in Japan. And in the 2008 season, he scored 16 goals from a midfield position in the second tier of Japanese football, and then he went and scored 27 the next season after that in the 2009 J2 League season, which is a crazy amount, and this is still from midfield. And his dribbling skills were crazy as he destroyed defenders. You can search him up on YouTube, and it's like Messi, the things he did back then. And he was essentially signed by Dortmund at the end of the 2009 season in the winter of 2010 or 2009, depending on how you judge it. And he did play in the first half of the J-League season in 2010, but he did move to Dortmund after that. His jump from the J2 League straight into Dortmund's first team is possibly the biggest transfer jump in football history. Comment if you can think of any bigger, but I can't really think of any bigger than that. And at Dortmund, however, his lower division background didn't get in the way, as he jumped straight into the first team, mainly because a lot of the team were recovering from the 2010 World Cup, which Kagawa did not go to. And with a group of young players, Jurgen Klopp and Dortmund won the league after recovering from almost bankruptcy just a couple of seasons before. And although Kagawa got injured for the second half of the season, he still made it into the team of the year. And I've already talked about the 11-12 season for Kagawa, by far Kagawa's best season of his career. But at the time, Kagawa was being compared to Eden Hazard, that's how good he was. And many thought that Kagawa would be the better player than Hazard in the future. And this meant that when Kagawa moved to Man United for just £12 million, fans were expecting a lot, and for a while he did deliver, or at least in the first season. In 12-13 season, he won the title with Man United, and he did play quite well. He was injured for a lot of the time, and this is a recurring theme with Kagawa. He gets injured a lot. And however, for Alex Ferguson, who had signed Kagawa in the 12-13 season, then retired, and David Moyes decided that Kagawa didn't fit in his system. He played him out of place, he got injured again, and then he got chucked out by Louis van Gaal the next season because he didn't fit in his plans at all, and he didn't score at all in the 12-13 season. He barely even played, and this led to a disappointing World Cup. Players who play well in the season generally go on to have a great World Cup, and it was really disappointing World Cup for Japan after they'd won the Asian Cup in 2011. People were expecting a lot more, especially as Kagawa played a pretty big part in that. And yeah, Japan were a massive letdown that World Cup. However, Kagawa restarted quickly when he returned to Dortmund, forming a great partnership with Gundogan and Mkhitaryan, and he scored 19 goals in his first 2 seasons back, which is pretty good again for a cam. And in 15-16 he made the best 11 again, so he did play really well. And the next 3 seasons, however, they would be a roller coaster for Shinji. He started the next 2 seasons very badly, so first half of the year in both 16-17 and 17-18 he really did not play well, but in 17-18 he did play well at the end of the season. He pulled Dortmund out of a bad start, and he scored in a lot of big games. He was nominated to the team of the season back in 17-18, and you'd think, well, it seems to be going pretty well for Kagawa, what's the problem? And so his career did seem to be going back up, of course. However, a coach change again after the World Cup, which of course Japan did pretty well in. Kagawa played a pretty big role, once again left him in the dust. Lucien Favre relegated Kagawa to the youth squad and told him to leave, essentially. Not in as harsh words as that, but that's basically what happened, which is really unfortunate. He didn't fit in his plans, but he didn't really even give Kagawa a chance. And Kagawa wanted to play in Spain, but no one could take him due to many rules about foreign players in Spain, and he had to go on loan to Besiktas, and he got injured again, and he only managed to score 4 goals in 14 games. He wasn't amazing, and then he then had to move to Real Zaragoza in order to follow his ambition to play in Spain, and they play in the second tier of league football. And unfortunately though, he doesn't seem to play for more than 60 minutes a match, and he's often on the bench, and I think that's due to injuries again, which is holding him back. He's scored 2 goals in 12 games, which is not amazing, especially as you'd think he'd be one of the better players in the second division in Spain. And that's a similar thing that's happened to Shibasaki, is that Spanish second league doesn't seem to help players like Kagawa and Shibasaki. So what happened to Kagawa? And well, there's a few sort of ideas that I have of what happened to him. So first of all, a really important point to make is that he's had really bad injuries. We're not talking like ACL, like out for a year or things like that, but he's had recurring injuries again and again, putting him out for big periods of the season. He just hasn't really played that many games, to be honest, and it really holds him back and stops him getting in a flow. At every club he's played with, injuries have held him back ever since he first joined Borussia Dortmund back in 2010. And yeah, which is of course something that's really not good. He did get injured in the Asian Cup as well, which meant he didn't actually manage to finish the last 2 games, so he is very injury prone. And another thing is that the managers didn't like him very much when he signed him. Of course, at Manchester United and at Dortmund this did happen, and maybe at Zaragoza as well. And also maybe he had a big loss of confidence, especially after managers dropped him. And this is more of a recent thing, because of course after he essentially didn't play football for half a year at the spell at Dortmund, he must have not been out of practice, and then the loan spell didn't go too well and he was forced out. And once you've been forced out twice, it's really going to affect your confidence, and especially as his dream of playing in Spain is maybe not going as well as you would think it would. But of course he's still got time, and Zaragoza look like they're going to get promoted, so you could definitely see him in the Spanish top league, and he might play better if he gets there. And maybe he's just not as good as dribbling anymore. Maybe he's lost some of that quality, because his dribbling used to be phenomenal and that was always his best stat on FIFA. I think he's lost a bit of pace, which could affect it, but maybe he's just trying to play in a role that he's not used to. Like in the past when he was 20, he wouldn't have to like be a playmaker, he could just dribble past people all that he wanted to, but now he's had to play in a role where he has to be a playmaker and shoot and stuff like that, and dribbling was always his strongest attribute by absolute miles, which is how he differs to Minamino in certain ways. And yeah, so what do you guys think? Why do you think Kagawa did so badly, and I mean, he hasn't done badly, he's done alright, but why do you think he had a downward spiral? Was it due to Man United? Was it due to that? I really hope he does well and sees Zaragoza get back into the Spanish First Division. I think that would be great. And yeah, thanks for watching everyone. Hit 200 subscribers, which is great. I've got some things planned for that in the far future, not in the near future. But yeah, thanks for watching everyone, and I'll see you next time.